Hey everyone, it is Natalie from Being Intentionally Creative. I have started, this is part B of taking from the last video we did where we worked on these coasters. I am going to end up sanding these down because I'm going to be wanting to put a top coat on. They feel pretty, well this one does anyway, pretty smooth. So I mean, not necessarily would I have to put a top coat on it, but I'm going to. So we've got that there. I've also done, and I haven't taken a note yet, is one that's in pink to see if we can see things better with a lighter background than a darker background. My pink layer is a lot thinner than my blue layer I should say. I got some new resin. It has arrived, and I used up the last of the resin that was in the old bottles. So this, as you can see, this is how the thickness of my pink layer. As now, hopefully you can see it's not a lot thinner, but yes, the blue layer on this is a little thicker. That's really hard to see probably. I will point out to the best of my ability. So the blue comes up about almost halfway in this mold, versus it only being about a quarter of the way up the full. It's so much easier to see on that, isn't it? Difference between light and dark. Anyway, the point of this, doing this part of it, was to see if we could see the coloring better. So I'm going to lift one up and then the other, and then you can see, and I'll show you the color I used. So this is our, obviously the blue one. And I didn't think you could see, you know, the beads that were in there as well with the blue, which kind of surprised me, as I'd said in my last video, because of the fact that they were, the majority of it is pink, like there's blue in there, but not a lot of blue. So I was a little surprised that we weren't seeing it as well as I expected to. And then here's with the pink background. So obviously we've got, definitely have a difference, right? With using a lighter color on the back. The pink obviously blends in. So would I have been better with black or white? Potentially. I figured though, because I'd use blue on those ones, I would use the pink on this one. So I guess white might have come out better. We can obviously see the blue a little bit better on that. And yes, I would say white would even show it up better. And maybe if we had done black on this one, it might have, you know, shown the colors better. I'm not doing any more in different colors. I'm stopping where I'm at. I wanted to see how much of a difference there was between the two of them. So there definitely is a difference. This is the pink I used by Candy Sakura pink. Again, I don't wage to say that I get these right when I say the words that I'm not sure of. But anyways, that's sort of besides the point. Now, I have to get a few, I guess what I can do is I can tell you some of the things I'm going to use, but there is something specific that I do want to show you. I don't have it. It's in my other room. I'll have to go get it. What I want to do is, and maybe I'll do it on this one. Way back a while ago, I got this from Michael's. It's the Alumilite liquid latex. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen other people using this, but the idea is to, if you want to top coat something, is to put this on the bottom so that you don't end up with, and I'm getting dings in that. Anyways, I'm sorry. You put this on the bottom so that if you do a top coat and it goes over the edges and whatnot, you don't have to worry about the bottom of it. We're going to try this out to see how that works. One of the other things, I've got three things in total. I usually get my fingers all wrong when I do things like that, but three things in total. We are also going to try out this Alumilite Amazing Clear Cast Outdoor. This is supposed to be, I believe, a 3 times UV resin. It says exceptional UV resistance, weather resistant, scratch resistant, waterproof. Withstands temperatures up to 135 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a 2-to-1 ratio. And it says it may not be suitable for extreme hot or cold climate conditions. Well, I've been very fortunate. So far it hasn't got extremely cold here in Canada. I'm just trying to think. I'll have a read of this in a little bit, and then I'll come back to that. We have one other product we are going to try. Unfortunately, it's in my other room. I will go get it, and then we will open that up. We're going to use it as part of this video to see how the product works and if it's as good as they say. It is a product I bought myself. It was not given to me. I didn't get it from the company. And we are going to play a little bit. So the idea is we will do one coaster using this. I do want to top coat all of these. And the plan is hopefully, and that's going to be the interesting, hopefully this clear cast isn't too runny that I run into a problem. And that maybe what I might do is make some up. I'm trying to see, does it say, let me just see if it says how quickly this cures, because I know, I'm just thinking of the deep pour and how runny that is, and that could be a bit of an issue. Too little can cause that. Working time, tack-free after 8 hours. Okay, I'm almost wondering if this will be okay, because it says tack-free after 8 hours, full cure in 24 hours. So it can't be that thin, I wouldn't think, but we'll have to see. So maybe what we need to do is I'll find another piece that we can coat, and just so that we can see how runny or not it is, because I don't want this too runny, because that would just be a disaster in a way. I do want to sand the top of these down, obviously, so that I can make sure that it goes to the edges and doesn't pull back into the center like I've had things happen, especially for those that aren't going to get over the sides. So yeah, I have a few things I need to do. When I'm ready, I will come back and we will carry on. All right. Here is the last thing that is going to be used in this video. I haven't taken it out of the box. This was a Christmas present from my husband to me, and I got it before Christmas, which was brilliant because I wanted it and I thought I would have had it out by now. But regardless, it's still in its package. Now, I'm not really sure how we're going to pull this off as far as getting it out and, you know, showing it to you, but I thought it's high time I got it out and that it got used. Of course, it's one of those things that it's the box is probably bigger than what the unit is, but we're going to see what we can do. And I'm trying to visualize with I'm going to try and lift up my camcorder, so bear with me. That's as high as I can go for that spot. So we'll see what we can do as far as getting this out so you can see it. I did want you to see the unboxing of it. Again, paid for this. Well, obviously my husband paid for it. It did not come from Resiners. Well, it came from Resiners, obviously, but it wasn't here, try this out. I decided I was going to pay it, and I paid a really good price for it. It was 156 Canadian to buy this, and I went directly to Resiners. I didn't go through Amazon. Sometimes the prices of Amazon are really expensive. Now, this took about 2 weeks to get to me. Of course, being that it was coming over Christmas, it got held up in customs and whatnot. So I think 2 weeks isn't the norm. I think it's just the fact that we got tied up in customs that really made it take its time. Now, you're going to have to bear with me. I should have made a space over my other table here. Now I got beads flying all over the place. Yes, I should have thought this through. Anyways, just give me a moment, because I'm going to have to move the box so I can get it out without making a mess of everything. So just give me a second. We'll just, I kind of want to show you how it's put together, but I've got to take into consideration my space here because it is, I don't want to throw that. So can you see it? I think you can see it. Hard to tell, right? But anyway. And as I've been having conversations with people, I really would like to have equipment that doesn't beep, because I don't know if any of you have animals, like dogs specifically, but my dog hates the beep. She knocks her water bowl around because of that, and yeah, it's just not pretty. I'm gonna bear with me as I pull this out, and then we'll get the box out of the way, and we'll get that piece of styrofoam off of it. Put this just over here for a second. So nicely packaged, and this came, so when I got it, it came inside another really sturdy cardboard box. Like it was well maintained, and rightfully so, because this would have come from China. So I'm just gonna, again, I have to be very careful because I don't want my wires for my mic flying any which way, and yeah, I better move that. That's not in a good space. Okay, just bear with me for a moment, please. Yeah, that's really gonna make my dog happy too. I threw a piece of the styrofoam over towards her bed. She has a bed downstairs here with me too, and so one of these pieces is, sort of landed in her pathway a little bit, but she'll go upstairs if she's not happy. So let's bring this back over. Alrighty. So nice thing about this, by the looks of it, is it's going to sit on my mat properly, so that's beautiful. We're going to have to do this video in stages, I think, because there's a lot of moving parts to this. All right. A lot of moving parts. All right. And I wanted you to see that it had come. And I know some people, they take and get things like this and then they work and play with them. And I thought, no, I want to play with it with you guys. And so that's exactly what we're going to do. And part of the reason, so with the videos I've seen, especially with this mat here, was I wanted to have the opportunity to use, and I don't have my coasters here now, but be able to pour resin and have it end up in this mat and then pull it out, especially when I'm doing the top coat on my coasters, just knowing that you have some place for the resin to flow onto. Now, I know you can get the Let's Resin mats. I've got one of their big 20-inch, I think it's 20 by 17, 15, something like that. Like I've got what? I thought I had two. No, I guess I've only got the one Let's Resin mat. And then I've got the flat one. So the one I'm talking about is the one that's got the ridges in it. So if you spill resin onto it, it doesn't just flow everywhere. It actually, has like this, but different. Same idea, same concept. So I like the idea of having this mat. If we are doing the coasters and we're letting it all flow over, the resin's got some place to go, which I think is brilliant. I think that's a really good idea. I also know someone had commented on a Facebook post that I had seen about having a mold and it falling over when they had put resin in it. And one of the things I've said to you before, and I'll say it again in case you haven't heard that message, is depending on the mold I'm working with, if I think there's any possibility, any at all, that mold is not going to stand up on its own and it could potentially fall over, I put it in something, some sort of container that if it falls over, I'm not going to care. Because I'm working in a room where I have carpet on the floor. I don't want resin on my floor, for love nor money. I also have a plastic piece on the floor that my chair goes back and forth. So I have a little bit of protection down there, but I think having a mat like this or the Let's Resin mats to have this kind of grit in them, so if it falls, like if you spill some, it's not a big deal. But again, I like the idea of having this for doing my coasters and letting the resin, fall over, the sides, and it's not a big deal. So there's a lot of this styrofoam. There's a piece of this like inside the machine itself. So it was properly contained within it. So let's bring this back over now. So I'm trying to get this out of the way, and we'll see what, because there's writing on this again. I am, sort of flying by the seat of my pants a little bit because this is new to me. All right, and let's see. I obviously haven't read the directions. So the cord looks nice and long, which is always a nice thing too. I know there are times when we can get cords that aren't very long. Some of the UV lamps don't have a very long cord, and I know people have been, had issues with that. So I like the fact that this cord seems rather long. And over there. So it's a fair length. The nice thing is it's going to reach over to my plug-in to the left here. So let's turn this around. So it's got vents in it, I'm guessing, and that's where the motor is. The motor's up in here with the lights and whatnot. So it has, all right, and I'm assuming that's because we need to get like I'll call it the fumes need to get out of it. So they're on all four corners. We have the on-off. I'm thinking this is the timer, and then up and down, and up here, flat, tall, UV. So that's kind of cool. And I'll have to, obviously I'm going to step away, have some read, and then come back to this so that I know what the heck I'm doing, right? Because I want to be sure. All right, so I want to let that sit off the side. I know, how much fun is this that you've got a piece? So let's get rid of the lid for a second. Let's just get it out of the way. All right, we'll put that over there with that other mat, which I might bring back in a second as things just go flying everywhere. Okay, so we have this. Now, I've only seen some of the videos. Let's see what this says. Okay, description of the mold placement area. Form 1, height. Yeah, so you've got your, like this. And I'm thinking that will fit on just nicely like that. All right, I'm wondering if that's, okay. So form 1, which is the lower, flat mold mode, tall, and then form 2, UV light mold, oh my gosh, UV light mode and flat mold. Okay, and then area less than, I'm going to say, okay, so bear with me. I believe it's less than or equal to less than 3 inches. I guess it's less than 3 inches. Area B, jar molds, skull molds. Yeah, I'm going to have to, okay, I'm going to look at this. This is kind of helping me, but not really. So I'm hoping there's sort of more in that as far as how this works. Because I'm trying to UV area. I think that says Resiners on it. I don't have my other glasses with me, but I'm trying to figure out sort of their logic here. Like I get the one part that, okay, this is for if you're dealing with jewelry molds, coaster molds, and UV pieces. This is the way you would have this up. I don't know if it, I'm trying, see what I'm trying to figure out, and maybe it doesn't matter, like maybe the mat's just the mat, and it depends on, so if we do it like this, then we will be dealing with flat molds and the UV, but it also says here UV light mode as well for a tall mold, but that doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, again, you can see, haven't had a chance to read. So this is the way you would have it up if you were doing flat molds. And then if you're doing any kind of tall mold, then you would have it this way, and you would obviously put this in here to collect your resin, which I think is brilliant. Now, it's not really deep here. There's a fair amount of space. I don't know how much resin you could spill in here. So that would be something you would want to think about. The other thing that you're going to have to do is, if you are going to be putting a mold and using this in order to cure it up quickly, you're going to want to fill it up in here as well. So what I'm going to do is, just for sake of argument, let's take this. I have one of my molds here, so I'm just curious if something like this, and I'll bring my camera back down at some point, but let's do that. I'm trying to think how I want to do this. I think I'm going to turn it like this, only because it might make it easier for everybody concerned. And my extension, my cord, right? So if we do this, yeah. So the thing we would have to be careful with when doing this, I just want to make sure I get this sitting. Okay, so that's sitting right. All right, so what we would want to make sure of is that when we put the lid on this, because this is sitting down, so this takes up quite a bit of space. I'm not in camera, or am I here? So this is quite deep. If you're doing tall molds, you're going to want to make sure, and I guess that's why they've got this here, so you know that your silicone mold has to be outside of this placement area right here. If you're doing something UV, you could put it on here, no big deal. If you're doing something tall, obviously, so if we do like this, obviously it's not going to work, and you wouldn't want it there. So you're going to have to use your space around this center area, and then we just place it like that. And there's maybe, I want to say about 2 or 3 inches. 2 or 3 inches, yeah, from the top of that piece to the top of this lid. And I'm thinking you could get, like if you were doing, I don't know if I'd want them back there, but, well, it's fitting in. I mean, it's fitting in, so you could do technically multiple pieces, and you could, I'm guessing maybe you could also put something in here as long as it's not very tall. I will have to play. And now I'm also noticing too that there are vents on the side of this. I could almost do a whole video just on this thing, couldn't I? So there are vents down here, and there's one at this end too. So I'm guessing that's another way for the airflow, right? Oops, give me a second. I just lost one of my speakers. Mics to, circulate, which is something I think of a convection oven, right, where the air is flowing all the way around for help in curing things. So that's what I'm thinking. So yeah, you could get definitely something. I don't know how high you would want to go, and I'd like to think that their instruction manual here would tell me. So I definitely have to have a read of that. I'm thinking I can probably take that off. Remove me before use. So let's get rid of that. Okay, and I'm just trying to think. I'm just going to put that on the back here, so I know I still have it, right? Because I always keep stuff like this. Once I have the hang of it, fair enough, but I still always keep my owner's manual so I know what's going on. All right, so nice thing is it's going to fit on here, which I will admit was a concern. I seriously love the fact that we have, if you spill a little bit of resin, if we're going to be doing one of the coasters, we can set it up. If it, the resin flowing over, we'll be able to clean this up. I'd like to think relatively easily. At least that's what the videos have shown. Just want to get these back on here, and I can get this out of the way. That back, me and all my things. All right, so fits on here, brilliant. We have the deep side and we have the shallow side. We have our silicone mat. This I really like. This is one of my favorite things of it so far. Like that. Obviously, when I do it, I'm going to have this facing this way. So I would have to make sure I had absolutely everything set up, ready to go. And set up and ready to go, because I want to have this, that all I have to do is put the lid on it, you know, hit whatever buttons I need to hit, and then walk away from it for the length of time. And I still have my Let's Resin heat mat if I want to use that. The disadvantage to the Let's Resin heat mat that I have is if you knock something over, it's just going to go everywhere. I do like my heat mat, don't get me wrong. I have enjoyed using it. It's been very helpful. I feel a little bit more secure with this, but at the same time, we're going to want to be careful we don't knock our molds over. So that's something like putting the lid on. Going to have to be really careful about doing that, which, yeah, I get that. So I'm just going to take my... So this was one of the things. It's like, oh, I want to show it to them. I want to show it to them. I just, you know, hadn't gotten around to taking it out of its packaging yet. So let's just take this and put it off to the side. So we're going to use this for our coasters when we come to putting the top coat on it. So I think that's everything as far as showing you the different products we're going to use in this video. I just want to have a look quickly. We have the warranty card. I'm guessing, I don't know how many different languages this may come in. I don't need to look at, well, I don't know what some of the languages are. So let me get back to where in the world is my English? But you know what? I do appreciate that some of the owner's manuals now are getting more. They're not just English and French. Granted, I'm in Canada, but this has English, Dutch, French, Italian, and Spanish. So that's kind of cool that it's got so many different languages in it. And we are pages 2 to 15. So it's showing you the different ways. I apologize not letting you see this. It's just showing you the different ways. All right. Okay. All right. And then we get into Dutch. All right. So I am going to have to take some time and familiarize myself with this. I'm probably going to skip through a little bit of it. I'm going to get the gist of it. Find out what I need to do from the coaster perspective, because that's what we really want. Those need to be placed in accordance with requirements of the mold area. Okay. All right, makes sense. Unplug the cord. Thin marvelous. Okay. So you don't need to hear me sort of whispering on this. I'm going to come back when I've got a little bit more information on this. I do still need to sand my coasters. We will, as I say, we'll do one. I found a coaster that we can use for this, because I got thinking about the other ones, and really I just want to top coat them. And I'm really hoping with the Alumilite resin that I've got, we may just do that one first, the one that it's going to roll over the sides on, to see just how liquid that stuff is. And then the other ones we may just do with the regular 2-part epoxy, the magic resin I've got. All right, I have some reading to do, and then I'll be back. I feel like this is going to be one of those videos that's going to be a bit longer than we've been doing recently. There's probably going to be some spots where I just do things without involving you, but for the sort of important steps, will bring you back. We're working with 3 different products that I have not worked with before. This is one of them. So this is the liquid latex by Alumilite. I have read the back of the directions. I want to go over some points with you because I think it's important. And I will let you know that on first review, this stuff stinks. It's so interesting to me how some of these products, they just do not smell very good. So this is one of them. I've already taken the seal off of this because, well, you didn't need to be part of that. For any of you that have worked with acrylic paints, and if you open the container, sometimes you'll find that the paint has dried up and it's got a seal on it. So that's what this is. This is from, I shook the bottle first, opened it up, took off the silver wrapping that was on it, and then I pulled this out. So it's similar, like I say, if you've worked with acrylic paints, how if you don't use the paint for a long period of time, it does tend to dry up in spots. So that's what happened with that. I have shaken it. I want to point out some of the safety rules on here. It says, do not mix with chemicals other than those instructed. Do not get knives. Do not get on skin or clothing. So I put on gloves just because that was before I read that warning. I would highly recommend, because it's saying about not getting on your skin and or your clothing, to make sure you've got gloves on. I wouldn't want to get epoxy resin. Well, I don't, like I always wear gloves when I'm working with this stuff. So this is I was surprised because I wouldn't have thought this would need gloves necessarily. They talk about how to put it on. You can either use a stick or a brush. So we're going to try both because I really don't know what to expect. I'm thinking a brush is going to be the easier way to do it, but I don't know. Now, the other thing it has not done is indicated if you can or how to clean this. So I'm not seeing rinse. Okay, so it talks about, like, if you need first aid treatment, it talks about that and using water. So I will see. I've got some product that will probably clean the brush out, and that stick I can just wipe it off. It says 30 minutes to let this cure, and that's going to be based on the thickness. So to me, that's like anything. It depends on how much you're going to be putting on. I have decided to work with this piece. My other coasters, I think all I'm going to do with the resin that we're going to be using for these is I'm just going to put on the top of them. But this I thought would be a good piece because it's got, some divots in it. I want it flat. So that's why we're going to use this piece as our piece to have the resin pour over the sides. So I want to cap the bottom of this and see how well this product actually works. So this is what we're going to be working with for that. When it comes to doing the resin, I'm sort of trying to figure out in my head. I like the Resiners from the perspective of that if I just want to not use the whole machine to cure, I can use the base so that I can have resin pour over the sides. For this piece, we're going to use the Resiners full out with the lid on it and getting it in the dry time and whatnot. The other thing I'm going to be really curious about is, and I have another piece that's sort of on the go. I need to finish it up, but I'm kind of sitting on the fence of, is it going to be okay for me to put that piece in even though it's already, there's part of it already done. But I'm thinking, well, if you're able to do these and put them in the machine, there should be no reason I can't do the other one. So I'm kind of sitting on the fence what we're going to do there. But forgetting about all that for right now, this is the piece that's going to have this put on it. The other pieces, I am just going to do the top of them because the sides don't need to be done, nor do I really want, I'm trying to play here a little bit. So let's get this covered. Again, I shook it. It didn't say not to. So I don't know if it's mandatory that you shake it. It also talks about putting a desired amount into a small cup for easy access. So let's do that because I have cups. So we'll get my mini red Solo cup here. And we'll put some in, not a lot. It's very liquid. I'll show you that in a moment. And then I guess whatever we don't use can go back in here. So I have no concept how much of this to use. So that's what it looks like. Can you, there we go. Maybe you can see that now. I am going to cover this up just because I think it's one of those things that's going to, I'm going to use the brush. I can't for the life of me figure out how we're going to, well, let's just pour it on and see what the heck happens. My coaster definitely isn't level. So I want to make sure I'm in camera. I brought it down, right? Like I lowered my camera down. And I don't have my whatever kind of glasses here. And I'm hoping this sort of holds like resin would, right? When you get it up to the edges, that it doesn't run over. And again, this might not be the best piece to do because it isn't what, and I got all kinds of air bubbles there. That might, okay, so that might not be a good idea to, we'll have to see if we can pop those. Oh, now I'm going to lose my train of thought. My mind's going in a million different directions. I was just wondering if it will hold it to the sides and not go over. And yeah, I don't think it's going to matter. And the other thing I'm going to end up doing is, because this is going to be flowing, the resin's going to be flowing over. I am going to be putting a cup underneath this piece to elevate it. And maybe you don't need to, right? Maybe it can go down, but I think I've seen in the videos where they have it sitting on a cup or something just to keep it up. And I guess you kind of want to do that because you're pouring it off the sides, so you don't want it to get all congealed, right? So a cup or something makes total sense to me. So we'll just do this as best we can. Yeah, this stuff does not smell good. And it is interesting. When I used to use Craft Smart resin, oh my gosh, that stuff, whew, that was wicked. Yeah, that stuff was wicked. Okay, I'm going to very carefully, it doesn't say anything about this being, okay, just before I use my lung lighter on this, I just want to get rid of these air bubbles. So that may be something to consider. Don't shake it up. Maybe it didn't say to shake it. I just did that on my own. I just thought, you know, it's been sitting for a while, so I thought, well, maybe we need to shake this up so it doesn't, so it mixes, right? But maybe it doesn't need it. I don't know. So we won't do that again because I got way too many air bubbles. And I don't know either if by doing the long neck lighter, if that hastens up the curing of this stuff. I almost feel like it's already starting to set up. We're going to put a bit more on here. Put it in my cup. It will be easier to pour that way. Yeah, I still got more, but anyway. So we'll just, and I'm more concerned about the edges. I mean, really in the middle, I don't think it's going to matter a whole heck of a lot. But we'll get a little bit more on just because, right? Like, I mean, you don't know. Okay, let's just stop there before I'll put the rest back in the container. I mean, it's not like I got tons of stuff to do. However, let's just... And I can see it pulling it away a little bit. And we'll have to see how this plays out right at the end of the day. But I guess the main thing is to have it so it doesn't... And I guess the other thing is, too, I wonder if one were to sand this down a little bit, if it would be like the resin where, you know, you want to sand down so that the resin goes right to the edges and doesn't just... and doesn't pull itself away from it, right? But it doesn't say anything about sanding anything, so... And I guess in some case, if it went over the side, or you could clean that up before you actually did your next steps with actually putting the resin on, right? So But I'm not going to put any more on than this. I'm thinking a brush is a lot easier to do than a stick would be, but that, again, personal preference. And I don't know if there are other brands out there that have this product. That I don't know. All right. I think we're pretty good. Yeah, it's pulling. Yeah, I can tell it's pulling away. So I might reach out to Alumilite and ask them. Yeah, I don't want to play with that. It's starting to pull itself away. So we'll just get rid of these air bubbles because we can. Like I said, it could impact. So don't, if you get it, I wouldn't recommend shaking it up. Okay, so we're just going to leave this alone. All right, we'll let it sit for at least 30 minutes. What I'll do is, because there's still some left in the bottom of this, I will check this after 30 minutes and see how it is. I still got a little bit I could maybe put back in the container. Who cares? I won't worry about that. We will come back and see how this looks, and then we'll go on to the next step in this probably longer than normal video. Okay, this really feels like it's going to be one of those videos that goes into the twilight zone. Where am I at? What am I doing here? All right. This piece still isn't dry. This one at the back here still isn't dry. Obviously, I got too much on it. One of my concerns with this product, and you're probably wondering, well, what's the point of this one? But I'm going to tell you in a second. One of my concerns is that I feel like I can see it has pulled away from the edges, which isn't going to be helpful at the end of the day if we have a coat of resin going down and over the sides of it. I may have to watch one of their videos if they have one for that, liquid latex. My other thought is potentially you might have to sand it down. Now, I will honestly admit this piece is not level. I get that. I own that. And that might be part of the reason why it's sort of more of it sitting in the center. It still isn't dry. This has been going, what time is it now? Just give me I just want to check my clock. What did I do? So 2.25 hours that this has been sitting in, it's still not dry. I kind of figured it would be by now. So it's not. If we have to sand the edges or the back of this down, as we have found we need to do with resin if we're going to put a top coat of resin on something, then you have to recoat this, which does not seem to fit the grand scheme of why would you do that in the first place, right? So we'll have to see. We're going to have to see how this all plays out at the end of the day. Anyway, I'll leave this now. I'll keep checking it. I'll give you an update on how long it's actually taking, because I've been taking one of my toothpicks and sticking it in here, and you can see, like, it is drying, right? It's drying from the outside in. Fine, whatever. So that's not thrilling me a whole bunch. I'll be totally honest with you. That's not thrilling me a whole bunch. So we're just going to leave that off to the side. This piece here, what I decided I was going to do is I thought, well, what about glue? Would glue work? So I have Montmartre craft glue. I took this, all right, and I have put that on here because I thought, well, would glue work? Just regular old glue, right? So it is working on drying up. I spread it out. It is pulling away from the sides a little bit. Again, we're not going to know until we, pour our resin over the top side of this to see how it lands at the end of the day. Like I've seen videos where people have it feels like they're getting this stuff to stay right to the edges. Now, I would think on a canvas. Now, the interesting thing about this, it has indicated that you can use this on a variety of products or projects. So epoxy, canvas, hydrocast, woodworking, and more. I'm wondering if it depends on the product, like whether it's resin, whether it's ceramic resin, woodworking. like, I'm wondering, and my concern with the ceramic resin or a wood would be that would soak into it. So we may have to do some, quote, testing on that to see where we land. But anyway, this stuff is taking a long time to see. Even this is taking a long time. And I did that probably an hour ago. And it's still drying out. So we're just going to, you know what, we're just going to throw those aside for right now. I'm going to come back to them when they're both fully dry. We will carry on using the Alumilite UV resin that I've got. We'll probably just do those two pieces by themselves, and then I'll work on getting the top coats on those other pieces later. Right now it's just to kind of play with all these products and see where we land at the end of the day. So again, I'm just gonna tell you right now, this is probably gonna be a longer video than I really expected it to be. As far as my product in the cup goes, I'm just having a look-see at this. I think it's still wet. Yeah, it's still wet in the bottom of that. So I think the one thing you're going to have patience with, or I guess do a really thin coat. And I don't know how thin you really want to go doing this. And if anyone's worked with any products like this, I would love, like seriously love, if you could comment below for me, or even send me to a video that you've seen people use this so I can learn how to better do this. But I'm just not, yeah, it's not floating my boat right now. It's not even coming close. So if it's going to take this much effort for me to use a product like that, then it's not going to be something I'm going to use on a regular basis. I am sure if this coaster at the back here were level, that would probably help to some extent. Maybe if I didn't put as much on it, that would help too. We're going to find out eventually if this was worth my while in buying it. And I guess the other thing is, how often are you going to use a product like this to do your pieces? Like normally I wouldn't let resin go over unless I'm doing something like a vase. Like I have vases I'd really like to coat with resin because they look so much better, and then you know what you've done is protected. So I like the idea of doing that. I have some other resin pieces that I've used, and the molds themselves aren't shiny, and I would love to coat them. But coasters seem to be the only thing that I'm thinking of right now, or something that's flat to use this on. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to come back when this is all ready so we can carry on and try out our resin and our Resiners tool. And until then, I am going to carry on with my life and do some other things. I will see you when I see you. All right, on with the next part of our journey. I have mixed up some of the Clear Cast by Alumilite, the 2-to-1. It was interesting because I've mentioned before, my math skills are anything but stellar. I went online, and actually it was one of the things I looked up, because I will admit I've been a little anxious working on this video. So the one individual I looked up, they said, you know, the easier thing to do when you're trying to figure out a 2-to-1 is to figure out how much of part B you need and then multiply it by 2, which I can do easy enough. We have a total of 45 mils. I did 15 of the B and 30 of the A. I have thrown in some of this glitter. And it's okay, it'll be in the description below. I did that really quickly, didn't I? It's like, sort of like, yeah, okay. Anyway, sorry. This is the Burnt Orange Spin It by We Are Memory Keepers, okay? And that's what this is. Humor there. Just go with me on that one. All right, just to give you a little bit of information, I feel like there's not really a lot I need to tell you about this. Always read your directions. That's always very important. We'd kind of gone over a little bit the working time, which is 30 to 40 minutes, tack free after 8 hours, full cure in 24. Now, that does differ a little bit than the packaging on the front to this beautiful instruction booklet here, which is 1 page. It talks in here about working and curing times. Again, the 30 to 40 minutes is the same. Tack-free or demold time is reached in 24 to 48 hours with a full cure in 3 to 7 days, depending on your temperature and humidity, as well as the depth of cure. Expect shorter working times and faster cure times with thicker pours. Anyway, so we're not doing a thick pour. We're really just coating this and letting it go over the sides. So and again, I'm going to be using my Resiners machine to speed that process up. I'm not, we'll see. We'll play this out, see how it ends up at the end of the day. The other thing I wanted to point out, again, read your directions. It does talk in here about coloring. Color the amazing clear cast outdoor using Alumilite dyes. Do not use water-based dyes or additives in the amazing clear cast outdoor. Any dry filler can be added to the amazing clear cast outdoor to achieve different appearances such as sandstone, granite, or other solid surfaces. So I at some point will probably try one of my resin dyes, but just the dye. I don't think I would try an alcohol in it. So I did put some of my glitter in it because I saw that was okay. A couple more points to go over before we pour this one. Then I'm going to mix up just a clear coat for my other coaster. I had to move the tray out of the way. Right. That reminds me, tray. And I gotta get pouring this stuff before it warms up. Okay. I was a little concerned with the tray because I wasn't sure if this grid part would be the same level as this solid part in the middle. It appears to be that way because when I go my cup back and forth, I'm not catching, unless I catch it on one of the nibs there, but it is going back and forth because I thought, ooh, how am I going to do this? So that is brilliant that they've got it the same level. That I love. The other thing is, okay, we talked about this when I was doing the last part of the video. I finally got this underside. It is cured. I feel like I'm yelling at you people right now, and I don't mean to. Anyways, so this stuff finally set up. I'm going to have to play with that. That's all I can say because again, I know this wasn't the flattest piece in the world, and I'm thinking that's part of the problem. Again, I'm concerned about around the edges here, whether or not we're completely covered. We're going to find that out. And then we're also testing it from a glue perspective to see what happens at the end of the day. Okay, so this is a test of a test as such because I want to see really it doesn't make a difference whether you use a glue or whether you use, this liquid stuff. So I don't know. I really don't know. I have it set up this way, the tray, because we do have these set up. We're going to do it. I figure for the 2 hours, and I'm going to go based on the directions. I did read through them. Nothing too challenging, I think, with it. Maybe setting up when we go to do the actual cure and getting the right dial set and whatnot, but I think we'll be okay. We're going to start with this one. I have lots of divots in here. I don't know if I have enough of the resin, but we're going to find out pretty quickly. And I'm going to do it slow so I can get into all the crevices, and I seriously hope I have enough resin. And then I'm going to just mix up for the other one, pour it, and then bring you back when we get to the point of actually getting the Resiners working. Okay, so that's how the plan's going to work. Yeah, I was looking at this going, I don't know how much resin I need for this. A clear coat over top of a flat surface is one thing. Going over top of a piece that's got all these divots in it is another. And I threw in the glitter because I wanted it. I guess let's just call it what it is. I wanted some glitter in here. So it's not really going to show up a heck of a lot, but we will have a little bit of shine to this one. So just going around, as you can tell, and see, just to fill in, not pouring it like crazy. If I have any left over, I mean, I could always put it on the other one and see what, you know. They do talk about the tackiness of this, that if you were doing it in layers, so let's say we wanted to make this relatively thick, it does talk about letting it set up for a little bit so it gets tacky before you pour another coat on top of it. But I think they mean that from the perspective of, like, if I have too much for this and then I go put it on the other one, I'm going to be making up another, you know, amount of resin straight away. I'm not going to be, you know, waiting too long. So I should be okay. I'd like to think I'm going to be okay. And who knows, I may actually have enough to do both of them, which would be brilliant, wouldn't it? All right, come on. So I think we're getting, I probably should put my other glasses on so I can see, because a little crazy to be able to, but. So we've got, I'm thinking, I've got way too much going on in this video, people. Have to talk to whoever talked me into doing this, right? All right, let's go. Down over the sides. Again, we don't need a lot, but we want it running over this. Oops. I do love the fact that this is, now one thing I do sort of want to do, because it'll probably be easier with the other one, I'm thinking, but let's just pull it over so it runs down the sides. I don't want to waste too much of it. I'm a bit of a stickler that way, but let's just get it see if we can get it running over the sides. And I've just got this up on measuring cups. So I'll just get the strips. I mean, I know once we get resin going, it goes where it goes, but this piece may not have been the best decision I could have made with this over the sides, right? Because it's so, whatchamacallit, it's not even. It's like, let's just get this going. So that's something I think we may have to keep in mind when we're doing something like this is, are you, like, what are your edges like? Are they smooth, or are they like mine where it's, you know, uneven? And I mean, you can pour your resin quicker or slowly, and you know, sometimes quick is better. So well, I guess we're going to find out as to whether or not this, yeah, this is going to work the way I am hoping to. So we have a, you know, a good example of, because I'm noticing it as I'm going over the sides, and it's not really going as I want it to, like down around the bottom, so we can see. That's my sort of what I'm noticing here right now. Let's get some more poured around the sides and see what happens. Like once it starts pulling, it is like a paint pour. Like once it starts to pull, but even then when doing a paint pour, if you haven't done them, you sometimes have to help the paint sort of flow down the sides and get into all the crevices. And this, I mean, I could spin this around and, you know, see what it's sort of looking like on the other side. Because that's the one thing I like with some of the tools I have. You know, if you can start spinning things around, and that's helpful. The other thing you're going to want to be careful of is, I don't know if you just noticed, but I kind of jerked it around a little bit, that it doesn't fall off its pedestal. Now, in the past too, like I take stuff that's on, like that's dripped down onto the bottom here, and I will use that, the stuff that I can reach. All right, I think that's going to have to be the best I can do. I've got some air bubbles, so we'll get rid of them. I think I have it pretty smooth on the top here. I don't feel like I'm sort of messed up. I can see some drips on the bottom now, so that's really helpful for what we're attempting to test out here. And just be careful you don't get your clothing into anything either. So I'm gonna have to be careful moving when I do the other one, right? I think I'm doing okay. It may not be perfect, but if I get most of it, then I'm going to be happy. And it, you know, we'll get to see. Now, I don't have a lot left in here. What have I got? I've got about 10 mils. So that's not going to do the other one. I think all I'm going to do is take it and put it into one of my other containers. Or if I don't care, is just to continue pouring it over the top. Let's just put a little bit more around the sides. Because now that the resin's sort of pulling itself down, that'll be helpful. And hopefully my there. That should be good. Not going to really see the divots once that's done, are we? Oh well. I guess if I'd done a color other than this orange, we'd see more of it. That's okay. Again, test phase. And I'm just kind of trying to take it around the sides in case there are any little air bubbles there. Alrighty. So that is that one done. Now, I don't know whether it's, now it's interesting because I'm sort of knowing some sort of streaks in it, and I'm trying to determine what that is from. Like almost, I want to say scratch streaks in it. So I'm not sure what that's from. Now they said you could spritz the alcohol on it if we wanted to. But it's interesting. I'm sort of seeing streaks in it, and I don't know why. I probably stirred that for 5 or 6 minutes. The 3 to 4 didn't seem to do it for me. I'm just going to throw my other glasses on because I'm not sure about the streaks, whether it was on the piece or whether it's what the deal is with it. I've got dust on here. That's the other thing you're going to have to kind of pay attention to. But yeah, I'm not sure what's causing that. So we'll have to let it set up and then see how, if we can still see them. I find that really interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. So what I'm going to do is, I don't have enough left to do this one. So if I did a total of about 30 for the next one, you know what? We'll do 45. Never mind. I'll just do 45. If I have any left over, then we have left over. I have this little resin piece here that hasn't getting anything done to it. So I'm just going to pour the rest of my resin into that. And if there's still too much left over, I'm just going to put it over on the side here and it can just drain out. And then we'll set that up. I think these are for the wine stoppers and whatnot. Okay, so that piece has been sitting there. They say, I think it was Steve McDonald who said it's not a good idea to leave resin in molds for too long. That one's been sitting around for far too long. I will admit that. I don't think I'm going to put any glitter in the other one, but it's hard to tell. It definitely won't be the orange if I do it. All right. So I am going to clean up. I will make my other resin for my other. I'm just going to cover this with the lid from that goes with this, just to keep some of the dust out of things. And then when I come to turn everything on, then I'll bring you back. We're getting there. Slowly but surely we're getting there. Okay. Both coasters are now top coated. I used this paintbrush and it's been well used for UV resin and whatnot. So it's pretty hard, but I used this around the second coaster to make it easier to get the resin where I want it to be. We'll find out when we take it out. Because I didn't spin this around, I have to have this the way it's facing me because of the cord. And if I needed the cord to go further, then I would have to turn it around because of where the cord is on this. So you're not going to see what I'm doing here, which may be a good thing because seriously, I don't know what I'm doing right. So we kind of want to get this as a one and done deal, because I can guarantee you that if my dog starts hearing beepings and blah, 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 she's going to freak out pretty good. So I have this. So the interesting thing was, before we get into, I'm looking at something now. Function mode. Okay. That's what I thought. So we're going to do this based on a flat mold. As much as the way I have this set up would be for a tall, but I did that because of the fact that I have these coasters, up. I couldn't leave them sitting down on, right down on the bottom of this. So I have them hiked up. I'm going to still do it as a flat, even though the setup isn't sort of based on a flat, if that makes any sense to you. And I'm just kind of going through, like I said, I haven't worked with this machine, so I'm not 100% sure what I'm doing. What I sort of want to do is just sort of turn it on, hit the mode, and then see about the time and temperature. The plus and minus that they have here are for the time, like to increase time or decrease it, and the temperature are the same. Yeah, so I think I'm going to leave the temperature because I don't know. I will watch this and see what is what. And I was almost thinking that, maybe for time I do it for an hour instead of 2 hours, just because it's a top coat. That's all it is. It's not like we're trying to cure something. So, yeah, again, this is a hit in the dark kind of idea. So let's plug this in. I'm trying to see which way my... I got that wrong way. All right. So, plugged in. Power function button. Okay, come on, do something. I'm plugged in. All right, what's going on? Ah, there we go. 30 seconds. We are flat. Nope. Nope. Oh, okay, hold on. Now, okay. When you don't know what the heck you're doing, right? It's like, no, don't. All right, so we are in flat now. We are on 2 hours. What else can I tell you? If I go to my function, so that's my... Okay, just bear with me. So the very first one is press and hold to power on, press to hold power off. Click switch to function mode. So that, I'm trying to figure out if I use this. Oh, stop doing that. It's not what I want. Come on. Oh, I see. Okay. I get it. I'm on the plane now. So the on-off button also does the function modes at the top. That's not something you have to hit the top buttons for. Now that I've figured that out, it's on 2 hours of time. I can click for temperature. Okay, I'm going to put this down to this, and actually, do you know what I'm liking? Is this beeping is quiet. Okay, so 2 hours. So we're on 2 hours at 131 Fahrenheit. All right, I think I'm just going to leave this. I'm not going to touch this anymore. I'm going to leave it. And I'll just leave it at 2 hours and see how it goes. Fingers crossed it's okay. I mean, I'm looking at this from the perspective of that it takes, 24 to 48 hours to cure. So I think leaving this at 2 hours might be a good idea for this particular resin that we're working with. It's quiet. I'll give it that. So that's handy. So you know what? Hands off. Not going to do any more. We're going to leave it as it is. I'm going to go find something else to do while this is, doing its thing. And once it's done, I'll bring you back. We'll have a check of it. And who knows, I may have to let it sit, but at least fingers crossed the majority of it is cured. So I'll see you in a little while. I'm back again. I have no idea how long this video is going to be, but it will be what it is for sure. So this was on for 2 hours. And the interesting thing I noticed, and I was a little bit concerned about it, was how it appeared, because of the convection going through this, that some of the resin was being pushed off the top. Is that a true fact? I'm not 100% sure. Do I want to just, do this with my hands on top and see how it is? No, not really. So I'm being a little cautious, if you will, because I don't know. I love the fact, so when this went off, it just shut off. It did not beep. Love that. You have no idea how much I love that, because my dog's here, and as I've said, she gets really freaked out with the high beeps. I really love the fact that when I set that, yes, it beeped, but it was really silent, which I absolutely love that as well. So from a noise perspective, this thing rocks. Like, it's just smooth going. The one thing I thought about when this initially started working was, I don't want to say the fumes, that's too hard of a word, but I could, there was a scent going through. So I did look at their, the machine that takes the VOCs out of the air and whatnot. It's up at a ridiculous price right now in Canadian dollars, so I'm not going to do that. But I will admit, as time went on, whether I got adjusted to the smell, and please understand, I'm not saying the smell was just horrific. It wasn't. But I think as the pieces would have cured, then the smell dissipated. So I just want to point that out. I have an open door, that I have the basement, so not concerned about the fumes. I just initially noticed there was a smell. But nothing major, so please understand that. So what we need to do is, I had sort of noticed it almost looked like resin was being pushed off of it. I don't know if that's because of the convection. They look relatively good. I think the second one over here got more resin on it than the other one. So I'm sort of noticing this one doesn't seem quite as flat, but I still think we're okay. And I was only concerned with the convection, how much of the resin that was on top of this was actually being pushed off. So that I don't know. The other pieces, the coasters I've got over there, I think depending on how these turn out, I may or may not do them. I'm not sure I could get all four. Well, I've got 5 of them, right? So it'd probably have to be a 3-2 division. What I like about this is the fact that I can do something like this, let the excess resin pour off, and just let it cure. So we don't necessarily have to use the Resiners curing process for it. We could actually just, put this down, let it cure, and know that any runoff is going to land in here. I have another mat coming for myself from Let's Resin. that will fit on top of this. So I could use that as well. This is just nice, and I have the cover. I can put that over top. We don't have to worry about dust. So where did we land at the end of this? So let me back up. The other coasters, you will not see those being done. I may just show them to you when they're being done, because this video has gone way beyond anything. I'm just going to take this little piece out. So it did cool down, it said, for about 20 minutes, so it allowed itself to cool down. And I guess the one thing we're going to do, oops, okay, so that is not set. As I put my, I was hoping that would be set. So that is not set, which kind of surprises me. That surprises me, that's not set. Okay, so we're going to be very careful with these ones. So what I'm going to do is, like I let these go for 2 hours, just to let you know. I did not cut down on my time. I let these go for 2 hours. So I'm just going to check this resin down in the bottom. Yeah, see, that's not set. That surprises me. That surprises me. So I don't really know what to say to that. I don't know what to say to that. So I'm thinking, I don't think I want to touch these. I think we're going to let these sit overnight. So I am just going to, at the side here, I don't know. Part of me just wants to hit the top of it, but I don't know if that's a good idea. Yeah, see, there's still a little bit of tackiness to that. I was not expecting that. Was not expecting that. Yeah, these aren't done. They're not fully cured. Okay. That being said, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw the lid back on top of these. We're going to let these sit till tomorrow morning, which is not your morning. You get this pre-filmed and all that. I'm just going to let these sit because I hate doing this, but I'm going to do this anyway. Let's do it on this one. Yeah, these haven't set. So that surprises me. Have they set up? Yes. Are they set? No, these are not set up. Not fully. So that is interesting. Yeah, definitely not set up. I'm just got my stir stick in underneath this, and yeah, that's not set. Okay, some of this feels a little more set than, yeah, okay. Wow. So, you enjoying this video so far? This has got to be, this is just, next time, one product at a time. I'm not going to do this. So, I'm going to cover this back up. Going to let this sit overnight. We're going to come back in the morning, and then we'll have a look at this because I can't touch these now because they're not set. They're not set. So, yeah, that was fun. And we will be back in another, 12 hours at least. I'll see you then. Well, this is definitely a wild ride I'm going on with this video. And I'm going to try and streamline it a little bit for you. We are not set yet. And we have been sitting for almost 24 hours. We had it 2 hours under the Resiners product. I'm going to do some more research on the website before I end this video and then come back to you on that. I've got to figure some things out in regards to the heat. I've been checking. As you know, my videos, they're done ahead of time. I came in, I've been checking. It is starting to set up. I can say that. It's just taking a long time. Now, this piece that I put in here, probably not the smartest piece to have used because it's really meant as a top coat. The Alumilite that I was using, not to be used in a piece like this. So that's on me. Fully, I'm just going to keep and leave that and see what happens with it. The resin, so what I want to do is I want to very carefully lift these up and move them off to the side so I can show you what's in the tray here. So I want to do this very carefully, and I can see some And I think it's probably from it. This piece may not have enough on it, but I want to be really careful doing this because I don't want to, let's get this off of here. I don't want fingerprints on here as such, right? I mean, that's why I've got my gloves on a little bit. It's getting there as far as setting up, but it's not like, yeah, you'd really want to be careful. So I don't really want to attempt to take the bottom off just yet because of that. I want to continue to let these sit. So I'm going to take these, and then let's have a look at the other one. I'm going to let them continue to set up. I'm probably going to put them somewhere else so I can carry on with doing work. All right. So again, the sides, the sides are feeling pretty good on these. They're still, I mean, it's not smooth, but it's not tacky like it was. So it is progressing. I would take it at full value when they say this stuff takes 24 to 48 hours, that's what's going to take. I'm also going to do some research with Let's Resin. I have that heating mat. I want to see if it tells me what temperature it goes up to at full range to see if our Resiners would go up to that temperature. I appreciate that different resins will cure at different levels. The other thing I want to do moving forward is, I think these were maybe a little too high for in the container, right? I think maybe my pieces should have been a little lower. So I'm wondering about using, one of these cups. I know you can't see it very well. Next time, let's see what the comparison is for height. Hard to do. Yeah, these ones are taller, so I want something that's lower next time. And the reason I wanted to get these out was so I could, when I wanted to see how, and I'm sticking. All right, give me a second. Sticking to that. We're going to have to see. I wanted to see about taking the resin out of this. If I can get this out. Okay, bear with me as I flop this out. Get rid of that for a minute. And I'll sort of show you what I'm still dealing with. Like this is still tacky. I mean, that has not set. It is, I think, working on it, but it hasn't set up. And I don't know if I'm going to be a smart human being trying to get this out now or, wait some more. Let's get this. See, it's still gooey, right? It's not, reminds me a bit of gum. That's what it reminds me of. So if we get this out, I'm going to do a little bit more research so I can give you a little bit more information. And I'm thinking maybe the type of resin. I'm going to have to play with this some more. I was thinking, okay, do another project within this video, but I'm not going to do that because I'm kind of afraid that my video has gone more than over the length of time I would want it to. But I figured, well, I'll show you taking some of this out. But yeah, my resin's definitely. Now, is it fault of mine because I didn't get my amounts correct? Could be. Is it fault that, as you can see, is it fault in not having the right temperature? That's going to annoy me now. The right temperature for curing this type of resin. Is this a resin that just because of what it is going to take longer because it is thinner than, let's say, a true 1-to-1 2-part epoxy? See, I'm sticking to this. Just get it out, right? It's almost like working with taffy too, if you think about it. Oh man, I tell you, now I'm getting all stuck up in this thing. I have to let this stuff sit a little bit longer before this stuff is, that shows you, this stuff is sticky, tacky. That's the best I can do. I mean, this is just insane. So now that you've seen me play with this, and my glove's not going to be of use to me, I'm trying to get that off my fingers. It's not working very well. Hold on a second. There we go. Have to get rid of those gloves. All right, so that just goes to show you the tackiness that's still involved. I think this stuff, no, that's tacky too. I was thinking this one might be a little easier to get off of here. Like the underside is pretty good. I mean, I'm doing that on the underside, so that's pretty good. So that's reassuring. But we definitely, oh, yep. Yeah, definitely not set. So I'm just gonna let these sit just out on their own for a little bit. We'll come back in another 24 hours and see if they finally set up or not. I will at that time give you some information on whatever I can, and I'll have to play with it some more. So again, I wouldn't put all of this on whether the products are no good or not. I think there might be some things I haven't done correctly. So another 24 hours, we'll be back. Well, I am going to be wrapping this video up shortly. We're going to come back to the coasters in a moment. I'm not going to do the other coasters in this video because this video has taken far too long. I just wanted to talk to you about a couple of things. First, iCandy has double points they're offering for the month of January. So I just thought if anyone buys from iCandy, they have a double points for this month in case you're interested. I also went and I did a bit of research on curing temperatures for various resins because I thought, well, this might be helpful. When I put these coasters that I worked on in the Resiners curing box, I set to 131 degrees Fahrenheit. And I did that because that was in here and I had this thought, well, maybe that is a good temperature. I have since gone back and I've done a little bit of research on the different, a little bit on the different brands, but more specifically to whether it's a deep pour, you know, a top coat, art and craft resin, that type of thing. And I'm sort of finding that temperatures vary between 68 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's a matter of finding a happy medium in there. I am going to be doing more work with the Resiners. I want to do some more testing. I want to try some more things out. And then we'll come back to it because I don't have it figured out quite right. And I want to be able to give you a really good feedback on that. So I think there's a few things that came into play in this whole video. Using products I haven't used before, not testing them out before I started. I think this is going to be a helpful unit to have. I need to play with it more. I need to experiment with it. I need to get my temperatures right. I'll do that. We'll do some more videos that has this in it. I think I did pretty close with the mixing of the resin. I don't think I was, you know, off far and wide by that. I think it was more, oh, excuse me. My apologies for yawning. It was more, I believe, the temperature. We'll play some more with that. I will figure that out. So we'll have to come back to that. Now, my coasters, they have come along. Okay, they're not perfect yet. They're not completely dry, but it's definitely getting there. Like it's not tacky like it had been before. And I've got my gloves on for a reason because I don't want to mark the top of these. And I think this one could have done with a little bit more resin because there's some spots. It looks like I've got some waves in this one. And then this one, this looks pretty good too. So it is setting up, which is a great thing. And I think once I've got this video done, I'm going to take these pieces upstairs where it's a little bit warmer and let them finish curing up. And then I'll have to see, you know, later on just how well it works from a non-yellowing perspective. So the last thing we really have to do in this video, and then we are going to end it, is taking the backing off of this. So I'm trying to think of how I can do this really carefully because I don't want to get finger marks on it, and I may not have the perfect tools, but let's see if I can get underneath this to, you know, see how this worked out for us. Because again, I was a little concerned with the fact that it had pulled in from the sides. Now I've watched a couple of videos where people just, you know, they get underneath this stuff and then they pull it up. So I'm not sure the best way to do this. There we go. Starting to, it feels like, well, like a silicone almost. So let's get on this. Okay, so hopefully you can see that well. All right. Now this is helpful. So I get around it. So this is coming off nicely, which is great. Because I wasn't sure. Again, I didn't know if it had stuck. I think definitely making sure your pieces are like they're level. And that I knew with this piece it wasn't necessarily level. Like I'm just gonna, we'll flip it around once we get this off. But this is coming off easily, which is brilliant. Which means you're, you know, this definitely is, that's a great way. It's quite the skin on that too, right? So we'll have a look at that in a moment. We'll just get, I've got a couple of spots here to clean up. But all in all, now one thing I am noticing is where those resin spots were, I can see that on the back of this, like it's marked it. So that's not overly helpful, right? Because you don't want marked. Now we'll see this other one because that one was just resin. This was the polyurethane resin. So I don't know if that's going to have or make a difference. So we'll just put that down. But at least that came off relatively easily. Yeah, this wasn't the greatest piece on earth to have done. And I was thinking with my other coasters, I don't really want the resin to go over the sides, but it might be a good test. Now, I just need to look because I think because this still isn't completely cured that I might have put some fingerprints in. Well, not finger, but my mittens got in the way there. All right, let's see if this one makes a difference. Now, I'm trying to think, did I put, I can't remember if that was polyurethane or not. So there you go, I don't know. But let's see how the glue managed. There we go. And the reason I did this for anyone who sort of wasn't watching the beginning or started skipping through, which I would not blame you in the least with this video. This has just been, all right. So this is coming off really easily too. So if you didn't want to buy the liquid latex, well then you got glue to work with, right? That was the sort of the test, was the difference. So I thought I had, I can't remember, but I'm looking at this. So the nice thing is, this is black. This might just be, I can't for the life of me, you know, I can't remember. I'm thinking this probably was resin, but I'm not noticing the dots on here like I did on this one. And I don't know that you're going to be able to see it. I'm trying to get the angle on this right, but the dots are, like, I can see where the resin dots are on this. Again, is it because it's polyurethane on that one? And if this one is regular epoxy resin, that might have something to do with it. But this does not have those dot marks on it. So that's something to keep in mind. I will have to do another test then with that to see if it's because I've got, like, I'm using resin, all resin, 2-part epoxy on this one, whereas that was, it was part epoxy resin, and then the black and white was the polyurethane. All right. So all in all, an extremely long video. I apologize for that. Things just started going the wrong way for me when I was doing this. it was nice to try out some new products to share them with you. I'm obviously going to be working with all 3 of these products more in order to get a better understanding of them. This is going to work out. Their curing machine is going to work out once I get things set the way they need to be, and I will be playing with the lower temperatures to see how things turn out. As far as the clear cast outdoor goes, I really won't get a full firmness of that until I get into summer and I can leave, you know, pieces like this outside just to see if they do yellow. And it'd probably be a good idea to actually do a piece that was white and then put this on as a top coat, because I know what sun is like with things, and white is probably one of the easiest colors, I think, to see whether or not it goes yellow as a result of, or doesn't go yellow as a result of using their products. So I'll have more testing to do with that. I'll do more testing with this, and I'll specifically do it on a piece that is 2-part epoxy resin to see if I get the dots showing on the bottom after using this. And there's this turned to this color, which maybe it's meant to do, and then we have this clear with using the glue. So I think you have an option here. As you know, if you don't want to buy that, again, more testing will go on from me. So that's that. We have this. I think I can take this out now. And I thought to myself, oh, Natalie, you shouldn't be doing a thick pour like you've done using that. But, you know, hey, I did. And I would have to say that resin needs its 24 to 48 hours. I could be wrong. Maybe once I figure out my Resiners, then it might be able to do in less time, but I'm thinking it's going to need more time. That's just the feel I get for that. But again, I'll run some more tests and see what ends up happening. All right. So there's that. So bottle stopper. No idea what I'm going to do with it, but there you go. That. Yeah. So I'm trying to remember. I can't remember. It was just the top part that I did with this, but anyway, so that's that. Overall, I need to play some more. I need to experiment some more. The one thing, I shouldn't say just the one thing, there are a few things I like about the Resiners curing machine. One, it gives me a space to do something like this, so when the resin pours over, I've got a container to catch it. It's quiet. When it's working, it makes not a lot of noise. You notice it. The one thing, and I love this to no end, that beep that starts it is very quiet, which was brilliant because it did not annoy my dog, which is beautiful. And when it shut off, I expected it to beep and it didn't. It just turned off. And I like that as well. There's no 3 beeps or anything like that. So if you've got a dog and you understand about those high-pitched noises, they, well, bother my dog anyway. What else can I tell you? So this, I won't be shaking this next time because that didn't help me. I will work on, working with pieces that are more level, not different thicknesses. I think that hurt. I am a little disappointed that it took so long. Like this didn't cure. This didn't cure in 30 minutes, but neither did my glue. It took a while for that. So that's something I think we have to keep in mind moving forward. And I think too, part of the problem was that if this isn't flat, if your surface isn't flat and product goes into the center, then you're going to have to wait a little longer. And I know I probably put way too much of this stuff on. But again, first time using it, and yeah, things to learn. So I don't think there's anything else. I've told you about the temperature. I've told you about eye candy. I know that there are things I need to do to get better at working with, I think, all 3 of these products. But hey, it was an interesting video. If nonetheless, I am going to let you go because, again, this is going to be a long video. But I hope you found it helpful. Got some you know, some tips on things, what to, you know, consider if you get the Resiners, and we will just keep playing and experimenting until I get it figured out so that I can make them the best use of it. Anyway, thank you for coming along. If you stayed for this whole thing, thank you for doing that. If you skip through it, I totally get it. Carry on, be creative, have a great day, take care. Bye for now.